To Joe and to Malvern Books. Applause. It's an act of courage and maybe almost some kind of instability to open an independent bookstore in this day and age. Buy books while you're here today. Keep this place open. We want it to stay open. And if I can brag for just a minute, Wing Beats and Wing Beats 2, since they're books of poetry writing exercises I wanted to mention today. Those are out from Dos Gatos Press. They're available here at Malvern. So if you buy one here, you're supporting the bookstore in the process. I love that Ryan mentioned witnessing. And so the first poem I'm going to read, it felt like an act of witness, the original experience, which was, I would say, one of the most alienating couple of hours of my life. The poem is in two parts, and it's called Wrestling. And the epigraph reads, The Irwin Center, Austin, Texas, December 9th, 1993, as Bret Hart enters the arena and takes the ring. 1963. Sissy Boy had baked the devil's food cake his daddy's friend was eating, flecks of chocolate against perfect white teeth. If you weren't so ugly, I'd marry you. His daddy's friend grinned when he said it, laughed, humorless as an electric fence. Candy Ass played with dolls, teased and primped Lana and Marilyn into perfect bouffant blondes. He even liked to say bouffant. Loved to waltz and jitterbug, never distracted from the dance to the girls who circled the floor with him. They knew what he was up to, their suspicion mouthed by the roughneck boys, though queerbait learned to slip away, mingled seed drying like snail tracks in cool creek bottom silt. Altar boy confessed and tasted sin, confessed again and prayed for absolution. Fingers at his rosary, dangling cross inset with a droplet from Lourdes. Its glitter like a bead of sweat. 1993. He can find no voice to offer up his prayers tonight, no words to fling at the eyeless one shut off behind metallic lenses, hot pink spandex tank tops stretched to reveal nipples erect from exposure, pectorals glistening like oiled bronze. His pretty boy ringlets drip wet like rain into this slaughter of colors. He roars at the idolaters, unleashed, ravening for more. Barbie and Ken rise for the oblation, the tabernacle broken open, blood spilled to whet the appetites. Ringside seats for the beefcake dancers, tourists serene on Castro Street. No notice of the cocky posturing, no comment as bat-bearing fag bashers preen. This is what the fans have come for, the taste of murder in their clamoring thirst, a host of faces pulsing purple as an erection. They want what they want, a covenant. Blood will have blood. I want to thank Ryan for taking that poem too. It sat around in one draft or another for 20 years. Earlier this year, I looked at it and thought, well, what if I did it in two parts? And then Borderlands took it and I thought, well, that must have been the right choice. The other one in the current issue of Borderlands is called Dreaming Orion. And it's kind of a made-up character, sort of like me, but in West Texas, near a very different town from the one I grew up in. It's called Dreaming Orion. He loved the night sky over low rain, accent on both syllables, low rain. Loved the taste of the name in his mouth, the sound of his townfolk talking. He loved lying flat on his back that summer, dusk pulsing with crickets, dreaming the great hunter. He knew the story, the bright stars, Betelgeuse, his favorite. Shoulder of the giant he dreamed roping, star of a rodeo that glittered like Rex Allen's spangled shirt under banked lights, his unleashed smile. The boy carried that brightness home from San Antonio, his daddy driving past midnight, father and son singing cowboy songs into the roaring hush. Mama had salmon croquettes warming for them in the oven. He could taste them in the sound of salmon with an L, the mouth-watering glide of his tongue. He could hear mallets clicking in the backyard, ice cream freezers running beneath the china berries like slow tires on gravel. He whispered to himself, drifting off, his favorite colors, the names he had given them. Dragon fruit for the sun, just over the horizon. Corn silk for the light that came after, others for the day ahead. Mesquite lace green, sandstone shade, cerulean. A color for each room of the house he imagined for himself, and visible from his pillow, a photograph of Rex Allen smiling. Okay, here's a test. It's an age test. Raise your hand if you know who Rex Allen was or can remember him. Yeah. I actually saw him at the San Antonio Rodeo years ago. Kind of a rhinestone cowboy looking rodeo star from years back. Ryan said we could read a couple more, and I have been lucky over the years to have been published in other issues of Borderlands. This one is from number 33, fall/winter of 2009. It's an imagined act of witness. Years ago, I did a thesis on the fiction of Ernest Hemingway. I read and read and read, especially the early fiction, and I read lots of the biographical material. And so I know a good bit about Hadley Hemingway and Hemingway's second wife, Pauline, who was fooling around with Hemingway before his marriage to Hadley ended. And so I imagined something that Hadley might have witnessed. And the poem is called Hadley Remembers, and the epigraph is, "All things truly wicked start from an innocence." And that's Ernest Hemingway in A Movable Feast. And here's Hadley's voice. "I knew what they were doing in the dark on the landing below, through the closed door, the noises they made. Ernest behaved like a pig when he got excited. The muscles took over and Ernest gone away and just his pelvis butting at me and his breathing gone ragged and those sounds coming out of him. Before, when it felt smooth and lovely, he didn't want me to kiss back. And once he got going, it was too late. And the other times, I didn't know what to think. He wanted me to do things, and don't tell me I'm a prude. I could have done what he whispered. But daylight was coming. His bluster blocked me at every move. Can you say to the mirror what you want when dark comes? His eyes would not look there. He'd draw the shades some afternoons and put my book aside. He'd put his breath against my ear. Little boy who has spied on the grown-ups, and now he's alone with a girl and the room is thick with shadow and he wants to do things with her. But he's got it turned around. He wants to be the one on the bottom, and why not? Otherwise, Ernest never let him out. The little boy, I mean. When he couldn't get me to do what he whispered, he looked around and there was Pauline. She'd bobbed her hair. Her eyes said, "Dare me." I saw the hope they fired in him. If she could play the boy tossing drinks back with a lot of us, she'd play the man with him when the lights went out. His eyes glittered like shock. I wonder if he let himself remember that time on the landing with her hissing what she'd do to him. Or what might have happened if I'd opened the door and let the light shine down onto their coupling. I don't suppose it matters. I could hear what they were doing. I could hear ruin in the sounds they were making. And I will pass along the baton after this one. Ryan mentioned my partner. He's actually my husband now, Scott Wiggerman. When I wrote the first draft of wrestling, I would not have been able to imagine that things would change as they have changed. Even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined that I'd be wearing a wedding ring shared with the man I love. This was written just 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a much, I think, I don't know if happy is the right word, but there's much more peace in this kind of imagined witness. And it's called Apple of Eden, Apple of Glass. I would say that time has stopped, except that page is yellow and dust sifts. Bookshelves are my world now. I do not mind the loss, but what it feels like to have a heart, I remember that feeling. At the core of me, seeds lodge there and sweetness born of them. My crisp, delicious flesh, the hunger I wanted to feed when fingers plucked me from the tree that fed me. I wanted the cowboy, his spurs, their shivery jingle, almost inaudible as he rode each morning through the orchard. I wanted him to reach for me, to drop me in the pocket his heartbeat beneath. I wanted the song his spurs were made to sing. I turned molten, waiting, lost seeds and core and flesh and skin to clearest glass. I am heavy now and smooth. I shine. Nearby are spurs attached to bookends. No one jingles them. They do not sing to me. I have no heart to call them. Thank you for coming out. Hope you enjoyed it.